Flip, 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 Flip Weekly.
Hello and welcome to the Flip Weekly podcast. My name is Matt. I am your host, and this is a podcast all about reselling. We go to thrift stores, we go to garage sales, we find things on Facebook Marketplace, and we make a shit ton of money doing it. Now, it's been a huge week. I was really excited for this past week because we had our Facebook Marketplace Goosebumps bundle sent off to Melbourne to retro rescuers to auction it off on Whatnot. And I'm going to talk all about the results for that Whatnot auction. I'm going to talk about how insane the night was, how much fun it was, the energy in the room. The sale prices, man, just blew my mind. This has been such an amazing flip. We paid $100 for all that Goosebumps stuff. I'm going to tell you the exact amount that we made. There was a huge turnout, massive ROI. We're also going to talk about some unusual finds that we found in thrift stores for the week, including two that sold in 72 hours, and they're not something that I usually pick up. And to be honest, I took gambles on both of them. I'm going to talk all that and more, so let's just get straight into it. So we're going to run through what I bought and what I sold before we get into the Goosebumps. And this, what I bought, man, we're in a Vinnie's thrift store. And when Vinnie's puts something out on display, whether it be jewelry, necklaces, electronics, DVDs, whatever, they put a little sign on it, they put it on a counter, they display it for the world to see. It's quite rare that you're able to make any sort of money from it, but that wasn't the case this week. I came across this collection of Dungeons and Dragons books. Now, usually I don't pay much attention to D&D books. You know, the handbooks and the rule books you see in thrift stores quite often, and they're usually overpriced. They don't sell quickly, and they really don't sell for a lot of money. But I think thrift stores see Dungeons and Dragons and they think, oh, this is something that I need to price up, when in reality, you don't need to do that. However, these looked quite old. And usually when we have a small collection of items, especially books, I find that the volunteers or the thrift staff employees, they comp up one book, maybe two, and then they price all of them according to those comps. And we know, as people that have sold books in the past, there's more nuance to books than just this comps for $20, let's list all of them for $20. And really that's what they did. They comped up one of these books and then they based the other three around them, and they based it on the overall condition of the book too. So there was two that were priced for $15 and there was two that were priced for $20. Now, one of them, this Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook, it had eBay sold comps for $60, about $55-$60. I was thinking I'm not going to be picking this up. 20 into 60, it doesn't really do much for me unless I know it's going to be an ultra quick flip. And this, it didn't scream ultra quick. The sell-through rate just wasn't there, so I left that behind. The other two that were there, they looked like smaller rule books for a very niche version of Dungeons and Dragons. They were like dungeon modules. I don't really know what that means. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons before. I've seen that viral clip of the woman explaining Dungeons and Dragons to the guy from The Walking Dead. What's his name? John Bethanel? Whatever that fucking guy's name is. When she explained it to that guy, it sounded interesting. Sounded fun, but I've never played it before. So these dragon modules, dungeon modules, I don't know what they are. But there was one book there that was worth picking up. It was called The Official Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide. And I opened it up and I could see that it was a revised first edition. I checked it out on eBay and there are sold comps within Australia for about $150. There's one for $120, one for $150. So I figured I could pick this up, $15, turn it into $150. Good enough for me, right? And as I've said before, if staff highlight an item at a thrift store, it's genuinely a waste of time. However, when there's little details involved, especially with books is where you can use your knowledge to, I guess, outsmart the thrift store employees. You can make a bit of money. You know, if they don't put too much effort into the pricing of these things. And that's where the opportunity for us lies. So yeah, 15 into 150 for this old Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide. And let's hope it sells quickly. There's only a couple on eBay, and I think majority of them are overseas. So this was from 1979, much older than what we are, right? So I'm sure somebody will pick this up soon. And then we head over to an independent op shop. One of those op shops where they put stickers on clothes. They put tags on clothes. They have a associated chart hanging up. You look at the tag, it's colored pink. You look on the chart, match the pink with whatever price it is, $6. This was an article of clothing. And usually I don't pick up much clothing except for, jerseys. I do really well with jerseys. And that's because I don't know much about clothes. I don't know much about brands. I've told you before, I get Shein and Chic mixed up. I don't understand. One of them's really cheap. One of them's really expensive. I once heard somebody tell me that they were wearing Superdry. I associate Superdry with the beer. So I don't know anything about clothes really. So if I pick something up, it's because it stands out, not because it's an expensive brand. And this looked really fucking cool. It was one of those weatherproof jackets, long sleeve. It looked old. The colors on it looked like it belonged on a ski field, right? And on the front of it, it had a couple of patches. On the back of it, it had the words Team Pacquiao. Now, unless it's Team Edward or Team Jacob, it's usually a boxing outfit, right? So this is Team Pacquiao. This is a jacket made for supporters of Pacquiao when he was fighting back in the 90s. I mean, he has had fights since then, but this is from when he was, I guess, at his peak. Really cool windbreaker jacket. I paid $6. There are sold comps of this on eBay for about $120. So if somebody can look past whatever Manny Pacquiao has said and done in the past 10 years and they still admire the guy, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's like a god in the Philippines, then it's going to be snapped up quickly. It's a size medium, but doesn't really worry me. I mean, if a Filipino is going to be buying it, they're usually quite small, so they'll be able to get this quite cheap. I think I put it on eBay for $100, Marketplace for $50. So hope it sells on eBay though. Oh, I mean, I'm saying that I know that it has sold, but we'll get into that later. Because the next item was also an article of clothing. Again, I don't know much about clothes, but I saw this, had a tag on the front of it, printed on. It's on the Gildan tag. The printing on the front said Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tell No Tales. Now it's just the logo. So when I spotted that, I'm like, oh, this is either going to be like a staff shirt or it's going to be something given away to an influencer. But this is back in 2015 when people had real jobs. They weren't influencing the internet. I pull it out of the rack, look on the back of it, and it said SFX Crew 2015 with a giant skull and crossbones on the back. So this belonged to a member of the Pirates of the Caribbean crew who worked on the film, which I'm pretty sure was shot entirely in Australia. So it's a nice little piece of movie merchandise. It's a cream shirt. The front of it doesn't really scream value, it's just the Pirates of the Caribbean logo on like the breast pocket. But yeah, the back has a really nice skull and crossbones. And when it comes to this sort of movie merchandise, if you get a really cool design and it's from, 10, 15, 20 years ago, people will pay up for it, especially when it's a big franchise like Pirates of the Caribbean. Those movies were amazing. The first one still holds up today. You have Johnny Depp's amazing performance as Jack Sparrow. You have Bill Nighy as the tentacle motherfucker. You have Jeffrey Rush as Barbossa. Man, that was a stacked cast, right? And then it just went to shit once they got rid of some of the main characters, but it doesn't matter. This shirt, I paid $12 in Lifeline. I priced it up to about $100 on eBay, but there's just no sold comps, no active listings for something like this. It doesn't come up often, if it's ever come up before. So we'll try and get $100 for it and see how we go. Again, I'm saying see how we go. It has sold. I'll tell you a bit about that later and what I sold, but that was a really good week for clothes. Now, last week I did speak to you about Boppets, and I found one this week, and I picked it up just because of how absurd I thought it was. This one wasn't some unique design. It wasn't some obscure, BB-8 Boppet. It just looked like a standard Boppet XT. It's white, and yet somehow it is so incredibly rare that there's absolutely none on eBay Australia whatsoever, and yet the sold listings, there's like fucking 25, 30 of these cunts that have sold. How the fuck has a Boppet got an amazing sell-through rate like that? Don't ask me how. I have no idea. And you know what's crazy? I put this up on Instagram. The amount of messages I got from people being like, yeah, this is rare. I'm like, are you fucking serious? I feel like I see this Boppet every single time I go into a thrift store. I paid $3 for it. There's sold comps up to like $50 odd. And the reason I bought it was because no active listings. It's apparently incredibly rare. I'm just going to chuck it up and see how much we can like jack this price up for. Yeah, I chucked it up for $80. There has not been a single $80 sale price in the past 90 days, but with none other available. If there's a Boppet fucking collector out there that's willing to pay $80 for this thing, then let's just do it. And if you find this in the wild, you can thank me, because if this sells for $80, you can try and get $80 as well. And we could just drive the fucking market up and up and up, right? It sucks for people that actually want to buy a Bop It, but for us, resellers, let's turn a $3 Bop It into fucking $80. These things are always undervalued at thrift stores. And I did say to you, I'm only picking up the weird ones. And this one isn't weird, but it is weird that there's 0 active listings. That's why I got it. So don't come at me saying, Matt, you're just picking up a bread and butter item. No, I'm buying it because there's 0 active listings and fucking 1 million sold listings. Now, in terms of marketplace for the weekend, I tell you all the time, marketplace is a goldmine. It wasn't that outrageous over the weekend. I did pick up a few cool things, but the one I'm most excited about was a Sydney Swans jersey, player issued, from a guy that I guess is friends with a coach who can get these jerseys. And this guy said to me when I picked it up, and he's like, yeah, I can get basically unlimited number. And collectors, they really, really love these player issued jerseys. If you don't know what a player issued jersey is, the quick rundown, they have a GPS tag in them, the players wear them on the field. Right? This was from the level below the first grade. So this is the VFL, not the AFL. These are the players that I guess do it almost for fun, but they get paid a tiny bit of money. And their hopes and dreams are that somebody from the actual Sydney Swans team gets hit by a bus, so they get called up to go and play for that team. He charged me $50 for it. I listed it up on eBay for $200. It has plenty of watches, plenty of views on it. But yeah, the good thing about this is he is super keen to keep getting these and selling them to me. I don't think he really understands the value, or he's just happy getting that quick money, because I've been texting with this guy. He gave me his number, and I hope he doesn't listen to this. He really won't. He doesn't know about Flip Weekly, but in the future, if we keep doing business, I have sent him more money. We have made more deals. I hope he doesn't come back, because I think I get fucking junkie vibes from him. Now, I picked this jersey up from a good location, like a good suburb. He wasn't dressed like a junkie. He didn't give me junkie vibes in person. But over text messages, this guy gives me like he needs money for his next fix. Right? He's been hitting me up. He keeps saying like, I've got this one, I've got this one, I've got some shorts. I need the money right now. I need it today. It gives me fucking junkie vibes. But the dude is legit. That's the thing. I checked out a bunch of his listings on Marketplace, some of the old sold ones, and the pickup location has always been different. They've always been decent suburbs, but they've all been all over the place. You know, I picked this one up from maybe like say 10 minutes from the Sydney CBD. The next ones that I picked up, which I'll talk about next week once I process them, they're from about 30 minutes, 40 minutes from the Sydney CBD. It's just all over the place, right? And the text messages to me, you know, he says, I can get heaps of this type of stuff. My kids are in the Swans Academy. The coaches love them. He saw a player on the weekend, and he said he'll get his mate who coaches one of the teams to ask for the actual AFL jerseys. And he's like, stand by for that. The 2 other ones that I bought off him, one of them was an actual AFL one, so the first grade team, which will sell for even more than $200. I'm just paying $50 for all of these. So he has been able to get decent ones. And look, the guy's legit. He just gives me junkie vibes. He has told me in text messages that he's out of cash. That's why he's selling them. Otherwise, he would keep them. But I don't know. He just like keeps asking for money. It's like, I said to him, like, I can't give you any more money until the jerseys come in, because he keeps saying like, I'm going to get some more next week, which I think that's all true. Like he hasn't like let me down yet. He hasn't done anything wrong, but just some of these text messages, they're just screaming like, I need the money right now. He says it's for his kids, but I don't know. It's just a bit weird. Anyway, that was the marketplace pickup. I guess a good network to have. I want this guy. If he is a junkie, he'll do anything for money. So if he can get some actual AFL player issued, he's got me one. He's got me 2 VFLs. We'll be able to make some decent money with that. Oh, I also got a Meta Oculus Quest 2 from Marketplace. I haven't picked it up yet. I sent the money in advance. Look, trusting person. I'm going to pick it up on Saturday. I wasn't able to get it there and then because I had an issue with the car. You know, I told you the car light came on after driving around the fucking countryside. I got that taken care of today, and I have to get the Oculus on Saturday. I paid $100 for it. It retails on eBay for like $350. I don't know if I'm going to keep it and give it to my brother-in-law or sell it. I'll have to decide. But yeah, Marketplace, always a gold mine. That's what we're able to pick up over the weekend. And yeah, let's just move on to what I sold, and then we'll talk about this fucking Goosebumps goodies. Okay, so our first sale, we got some DVDs. So Gordon Ramsay, he ran Hell's Kitchen for the 24 seasons. I don't know if they're still shooting that show. Gordon is all over the place, man. He's one of the busiest motherfuckers. And I remember watching the earlier seasons of Hell's Kitchen. It was one of my favorite shows, along with Kitchen Nightmares UK and some of the USA episodes. But I was able to find season 1 to 8 of Hell's Kitchen in a Vinnie's. I paid $26 in total, and they have sold for $170. So if you're able to find Hell's Kitchen in a thrift store, I recommend picking it up, but only if you're able to get a big bundle, because this did take 8 months to sell. So it's not a fast sell-through rate, but if you find season 1 to 14, which is the entire series on DVD, they don't make anything after 14, even though this show has been going for 24 seasons. Season 1 to 14 on eBay, you can get $300. So, you know, they're in a thrift store, $1 each, $2 each, even $3 each. You'll be able to turn that into $300. And not many people on eBay have that complete series. So go out and pick it up, buy it, make some money. The next sale was completed within eBay's 90-day window, and I paid $4.49 for what is the coolest pop-up book I've ever seen. It's a 1999 illustrated edition of The Hobbit. Now, there's pictures on flipweekly.com. You can go check it out, or you can watch the video on our social media platforms of what the book looks like inside. It's very interactive, has some cool elements to it, you know, spiders that go up and down on string. You pull out certain sections. It's just a cool little book. I was the only person selling it on eBay within Australia, so I set the price at the time for $120, which was a bit higher than the comps, but you know, it's within Australia and there's very little here. You know, we don't get any of the cool shit. The thing is, if you buy this book now on eBay, the cheapest you can get is $180 landed in Australia. So I sold it for $120, $4.49 into $119.95. You know, I'm immediately drawn to Tolkien in the book section of op shops. I really want to find that first edition Hobbit, first edition Lord of the Rings. Sounds impossible, but when you look at some of the stuff we've found in op shops before, why the fuck can't we find it? You know, we're not the luckiest people in the world, but give us a shot, right? I say we're not the luckiest, and I'm about to talk about some extreme luck. We've gotten rid of all of those crush gear turbos, those little model figures that I found in Lifeline literally 10 days ago. I paid $2 for 3 of these cunts. All 3 have sold, including this last one, which was missing a packet of the gears. So I had to sell it at a major discount. But all 3 have sold, so that means we turned those models from $6 into $379.85. 6 into basically $400 from these things. Hasn't even been a full 2 weeks yet. You know, I'm going to be looking out for these in the future. I would just recommend to you that if the boxes are open and the plastic satchels aren't sealed, just, you know, give up on them. Unless you know exactly what you're buying, just give up on it. It's going to be impossible to work out if it's complete or not. And then we have the gift that keeps on giving. Fucking Bratz dolls, man. We have another one that is solid. These are just selling consistently over, you know, every 2-week period. It seems like another $100 comes in for Bratz dolls. You remember what feels like a lifetime ago, we found a Bratz bundle, $20 on Marketplace, a lifetime ago, but it was only October. It wasn't that fucking long ago. It just feels like forever ago, because every single week we have to find something new. I parted all that shit out. I pieced it together. I remember that night. It took forever. You know, all these Bratz dolls, they have their little shoes, their little pants, their little sunglasses. I was Google lensing every single fucking thing. And this Bratz doll was a boy. His name was Dylan. He's from the Funk Out collection, and you know, it's not bad enough that the bloke was named Dylan. He has a very poor dress sense, and the cunt doesn't even crack the $100 mark, but he's still profitable. You know, if I spent the entire $20 that I paid for the tub just on this guy, it would probably be worth it, because he sold for $85.45. So Dylan from the Bratz, thank you very much. And then we've got some of the Skylanders that we picked up last week. We got some of the relatively cheap ones that have sold. This one was Trap Team Crypt King. He sold for $50. And then we have the Crash Bandicoot. He was sold for $50 as well. We paid $140 for that bundle last week from Marketplace, and we've recovered just under $270 so far. We have 4 listings left, and they total $650. So as expected, it's taken a bit for buyers to convince themselves to, shell out $250 for a Skylanders toy. But I'm not too concerned, they'll go soon enough. Now, the next sale was, the sale price was based on a really, really dumb thing. It was last Saturday. I was watching the footy, I had a drink in my hand, and somebody sent me a message about a Sydney Roosters jersey. Now, I had this priced up on eBay for $150 and Marketplace for $100. It's a size small. It's a 2018 Premier's jersey for the Sydney Roosters. And the guy was like, man, my kid fucking loves the Sydney Roosters. He's obsessed with them. I want to buy this jersey. And he was asking if there was any wiggle room. And you know me, I was like, I got in my head, it's like a little kid. He wants a footy jersey. How cute. I'll do you a deal. I was like seeing the footy score on the TV, and the Roosters, Sydney Roosters, were smashing the other team, right? It was like 40-0 or some bullshit. And I just said to him, you can have it for whatever score the Roosters put on the Dragons. Really dumb. Have you ever priced your items based on really dumb decisions? Or I was about to say, have you ever made any dumb decisions with a drink in your hand? But the answer is definitely going to be yes. So the Roosters ended up scoring 62 points. So I sold it for $62. He came and picked it up, left it in the magic freezer. I was like another drink away from apologizing about the odd price, because trying to get $62 from an ATM machine is pretty much impossible in 2026. Like, how the fuck are you supposed to get the $2 coin? Nevertheless, he came, picked it up, and he left me the exact money. He didn't even skimp me out that $2 coin. Now, I'm not too worried about letting that go really cheap. We have another one that's exactly the same, and it's a better size. It isn't that small, and it's still on eBay for $150, eBay for $100. I think I paid, like $10 for these jerseys, so 10 into $62, that's fine. And the other one will be 10 into 150 or 10 into 100. So, we made some kid happy, I guess. Pat ourselves on the back. And then we have some more clothing that's sold. A 3-day turnaround time for both of these things. The Pirates of the Caribbean shirt has sold for $80. It's off to the Netherlands. Believe it or not, it's going to a Jack Sparrow impersonator. And the reason I know that, it's because it's on his eBay profile. I thought it was really weird to describe, I guess, what you do or your hobby on your eBay profile. To be honest, I didn't even know you could do that. But it's off to a Jack Sparrow impersonator. I guess if he's going to be wearing like a special effects crew t-shirt, is he taking it a bit too far? This isn't a Jack Sparrow costume where you dress up as Jack, go cosplaying and get people to take photos with you. This is like outside of the character, right? This is like Johnny Depp impersonation. I'd be a bit worried if I was Johnny Depp about this guy, but nevertheless, $12 into $80 for that t-shirt. Then the other piece of clothing that sold was the Manny Pacquiao windbreaker jacket. That was $6 into $100 on eBay. And based off the name of this person, I would say they 100% are a Filipino. So that was majority of what sold. If you want to see photos of everything that sold, go to flipweekly.com and check out the newsletter. But I think it's time to get into the Goosebumps Whatnot auction. Oh man, was I excited for this. I had been waiting patiently all week for this day to come. I was telling everyone about it. I was telling Mum, and she was like, I'm going to watch. I'm like, hell yeah. She's like, how? I'm like, you need to download this app and then search for this and then bookmark the show and watch the show. And she's like, how do I do like any part of that? So she was able to download the app. She started the sign up process, and then Whatnot came with the tell us what you're interested in. And Mum was like, I'm clicking them. I'm clicking like clothes. I'm clicking hobbies. I'm clicking jewelry. And it won't let me continue. She's like, I have to click all of these. And then she jumped on a phone call, and I took control of the screen, got through all that. She's like, oh my God, how did you do that? It was pretty funny. Anyway, man, tech support. Thank God we have that share screen where you can take control of the screen. Otherwise, Mum would have been selecting like 10,000 individual options just so she could watch this auction. So anyway, how did we go? Well, first of all, how we got here. Australia Post was trying to sabotage this auction. They tried really hard for this to not go ahead. The items, when I had sent them, they arrived in Melbourne the second time, and they were missing some of the small items. That's right. Some of the items, I guess, had fallen out of the box, or, and I don't want to say this, or people opened the box and they took some, because I did see a note saying that the first box was opened by Australia Post. So I don't know. I'm just going to say they came out of the box somehow, even though I couldn't see any holes in the box. So who fucking knows? I'm just going to say they slipped out. Now, those items, they were the yo-yo, a pencil topper, majority of the pogs, the Tarzos. There was some stationery, some pins. The approximate value for all of that was about $150. And for the rest of the items, I comped up most of them on eBay. I made educated guesses for some of them, but for a lot of them, it was impossible because they were one-of-a-kind items, and I just had no idea how Goosebumps collectors were going to receive them, right? But nevertheless, the entire lot I had valued at $2,495. And I thought that was a high-end version, right? So when I sent through Retro Rescuers the entire itemized list, I said $2,500. And from my experience with Whatnot, being that you don't get those full eBay prices, I was hopeful that we could make maybe $1,500, if it sells on eBay for 25, maybe we can get 15. So the day arrived and Aaron and Mitchell from Retro Rescuers had taken photos. They allowed people to place pre-bids on the items. I had a quick scan. There were 70 items in total, and it looked like 90% of them had pre-bids, which I thought was crazy. I sent through a message to them saying that if anything wasn't bid on, rerun it half price or just give it away. Because some of these items, I looked at them and I felt a bit embarrassed. There was one that was a piece of newspaper, a newspaper clipping that had a tear in it, had a starting bid of $2. And I was thinking, man, these guys, they're just being nice by putting up everything that I sent through. When I sent this through to them, I didn't realize they were going to individually auction this stuff off. The newspaper clippings, the magazines, the small pieces of paper that might mention R.L. Stine or Goosebumps. I thought it'd be lotted together. Anyway, we'll talk about that a bit later because the auction was coming and it started right on time, 7 p.m. last Thursday night, and the room was immediately filled with Goosebumps collectors. The energy, man, was so high. People in the chat was going off, and it was time to run the first item. And the first item was a VHS copy of The Haunted Mask. Now, that came with the original proof of purchase card, which I didn't even see, to be honest. And in my spreadsheet, I had valued the VHS at $20. To my surprise, pre-bids had already got it at $27. So the auction starts and the bids go up very quickly. They go from 33, 38, and then 42, and it's sold. So it sold for $42. That's a pretty solid start. We're double our expectations just on the first item. And then the next two go up, and they sell for above what I expected. We had a tube of fake blood that I valued at 10, and it sold for 25. And then we had a mouse pad that I thought would struggle to get bids because the graphic on the front was peeling off, but that sold for 38. So then we move on to the next item, and I had originally sent through 16 pogs plus a slammer, and I valued them at $30. But, like I said, they arrived in Melbourne, and those pogs had dwindled down to just 3, lost in the post. So those 3 pogs went up, and they alone sold for $15. So if we had the original 16 pogs plus the 1 slammer, who knows how much they would have sold for. When I was creating the spreadsheet, like I said, I had lotted together 39 items that I thought were valued at $10. I labeled them essentially as junk. They were the newspaper cutouts, the full magazines. There was a sticker that was missing its back. I had an eBay mindset. I really didn't see any of this selling. But I was very, very wrong. The Goosebumps bumper sticker sold quickly for $15. And then came up something that I didn't even think deserved to be in the auction. This was the piece of newspaper clipped out from the Herald Sun back in the 90s. This clip was promoting the Werewolf of Fever Swamp. It made its way onto VHS, and this was just talking about it. I guess it was 20 centimeters long, 10 centimeters high. It had a fucking tear right in the middle of it. You can see photos on flipweekly.com. And this was the bit I was embarrassed about. I was thinking, when this came up for auction, I should have just thrown this out immediately. I'm going to play the audio clip from the auction for you just so you can see how it went.
All right, this is a random piece right here. We've got some really, unique pieces that this original collector had. Lots of random order forms, and they were so obsessed, they even clipped the newspaper clippings out advertising the new video.
To celebrate the launch of the latest Goosebumps video, The Werewolf of Fever Swamp, the Herald Sun and 20th Century Fox are giving readers the ultimate in Goosebumps.
So good. So awesome. Great little piece of memorabilia. And we're kicking it off right now. And Sammy is on top. $9. She said mine in the comments.
You are never going to see this again.
That's how confident they are. Love to see it, Sammy. $14 still on top. Sammy, mine. That means they're here to play. But then Goosebumps Aussie Fang has come in at $16. Sammy's back at $18. Sammy's the one to beat. We're at $20. 3 seconds to go. Sammy back with $24, $26. Sammy Sam Goosebumps. It's a fight. It's a knuckle duster. This one's a true UFC match right here. But Sammy is still on top at $42, $46, $50. Sammy Sam, you're on top still, $50. Here we go, Sammy. You're fighting hard for this one. $59.
They know.
They know it's not popping back up. $64. Sammy's coming back with a 69. 69, feeling fine. Are we going to push the 70? We are. Sammy's still on top at Goosebang. Goosebang. Sammy's got it. No, Goosebumps. Oh no.
Guys.
Here we go. Back and forth. But this is more exciting than the UFC's been lately. Goosebump Aussie Fang. Sammy, 99. Sammy, you are going hard. Goosebumps, you're going hard. Here we go. Fang, you're going hard. Sammy, 114. 2 seconds to go. Oh my God, they're still going. The blood is flowing tonight. I can feel it, and this is just insane. Good. Oh, these two want it. These two want it, guys. Cheer them on in the chat. Fire react. This is incredible. Sammy! We need to get you a whatnot belt or something so you can hold it up. That was incredible.
Are you fucking kidding me? I'm honestly speechless on the night. Over $100 was spent on a newspaper clipping that was so lucky not to be thrown out in the fucking bin. You know, the chat was going off after that sale. The bidders, I think, were taking a moment to realize exactly what they had just done, because it was time to move on to similar items. People had calmed down because I think Mitchell thought if that was going to sell for, you know, over $100, let's get rid of the magazines. Let's put the magazines up. They had a couple of pages dedicated to Goosebumps and R.L. Stine. It only sold for $15. People are calming down on their bidding. We have Hallmark invitations that sold for $30. We had an original order form for a flashlight selling for $15. We had a keychain, Cuddles squishy keychain. It's out the door for $50, and then a simple eraser sold for $15. So there's a couple of items that I thought, all right, we're calmed down. We're back to normal. That was just a huge anomaly. And then we went on a fucking insane run. 5 bookmarks go up. They're just cardboard. They have perforated edges. You put a splash of water on these things, they're ruined completely. Pre-bids have them at $16, and I valued them at $2 a piece. And then bidding starts, we're going much, much higher. You can hear Mitchell in the background running this auction being like, oh my God, too fast. Too many names are flashing up. These 5 bookmarks sold for $56. Insanity. I can't believe it. Absolute insanity. And then next up was the pencil case. It's a standard fucking pencil case. Any kid in the 90s would have taken this to school. I'm going to play it for you right now.
Pencil case. All right, we've got a few watches on this one. Beautiful, beautiful cylinder.
Amazing condition.
Great condition. I am absolutely loving the side there. Back a bit. Look at that. And then forward a bit. Is it really just not wanting me to do it?
It doesn't.
I don't know why that is. But yeah, we've got really clear photos, guys. So make sure you're checking out those photos. But I just wanted to talk about the detail on this. The little spider, the cobweb.
That's a good spot for it.
Look at that. This thing is crispy clean.
Zip is not
broken.
Not broken, but it's also not like the paint hasn't peeled off.
It's beautiful condition, and that big vibrant G on the end there. And it's a chunky case. Beautiful condition, and of course the 1997 licensing right there on the bottom. Aaron's going to hold that one, and we're going to kick this one off with a 3, 2, 1. And we've got a couple of names popping up real quick. We're at $26, $30, $34, $38, $42, $46, $50. Lucky I can count. $59, $64, $69. Feeling fine. $74. Hit the door. $79. Just in time. Here we go. $84. Semi on top. Semi weighted this time. Semi weighted in the dark. Just like a good Goosebumps monster would. At $99, Sammy's in at $104. Sammy Sam at $104. 3 seconds to go. Sammy's the one to beat. Goosebumps Bang is in, but Sammy comes straight back at $124 with 3 seconds to go. 2, 1. Oh! Goosebumps Bang! You nearly had me there, mate. I thought you were getting that one. Here we go. 144. It's Sammy. 154 Bang, Sammy. 174, it's hardball now. We're playing hardball now. There's no messing around. We're at 184. Sammy Sam 87 at 184. Sammy absolutely taking it to town tonight. Sammy!
I valued that pencil case at $30. It sold for $184. What the fuck? I am officially out of touch with Goosebumps pricing. But, from here, I have no idea what things will sell for. I have no idea. We just have to go along for the ride. And let me tell you, now is when the ride starts, because enter the auction. A 1996 Enter If You Dare poster. Someone in the comments wrote, I came to replace this. I got it the day it came out 30 years ago. Now, pre-bids have it at $205. That's double what I valued it at $100. Again, let me play this clip for you.
All right, this is probably one of the most saved items of the night on my end. I can see how many people have clicked the bell, and there's a lot. And it's sitting at quite a lot. Now, Aaron, do you want to open it up? And I'll just sort of talk about it. The condition of this thing, crazy good. So I know this is a very, very nostalgic piece that a lot of Goosebumps fans had. Step a little bit tiny back. There we go. Absolutely delicious. There's a bit of reflection on there, but just hold that one nice and safe. And like I said, guys, nice corners. No holes from bobby pins or whatever what are those things called? That you stick in the wall? Safety pins? No. Tacks. Whatever. You know what I mean. I mean the thing that puts holes in the poster. Fuck.
On the corkboard.
On the corkboards. You know what I'm saying. Push pins, thumbtacks, whatever you reckon. But also, the other cool thing is, no dirty glue tack.
No.
It feels like this thing has literally been
grease from the
no grease.
I'll turn it around.
Turn it around. Show the white back. So it's all just standard.
I feel like I should be wearing gloves.
Yeah, maybe you should have put those skeleton gloves on. But look how white that is, guys. I came to replace this. I got it the day it came out 30 years ago.
Oh,
whoa.
That's so special.
That's so cool. And I've seen a few nostalgic bedroom photo posts on like Reddit and stuff. And I've seen this hanging up in a few people's bedrooms. But here we go. We're ready to rock. We've got a bunch of pre-bids on this. I hope this one gets a frame. It deserves a frame. Something high class, super quality. Let's rock. Here we go. Semi on top at 205. Is Semi going to even get a little fight? Yeah, she is. 233, 250. Goosebumps Aussie Fang wants it 270. This thing is going to look so nice framed, guys. You've got no idea. And if you do win this tonight, please send a photo through if you do get it framed. We're at 430, 450, 470, 490. Can we get it to 5? Yes, we can. 510, 550. It's back and forth. There's no messing around tonight. We're at 570. 570, 7 seconds to go. Can we push it to 6? 610, yes we can. 8 seconds to go. 610, 630, 650, 8 seconds to go. We're at 650 with 6 seconds to go. 5 seconds, You've come this far. Is there any more push? No, there's not. 670, 690. There's a little bit more push. Let's just break the 700. Like I said, you've come this far. You've come this far. What's a couple of extra KFC meals out the window? 690, Sammy.
Yeah!
690, Sammy.
I'm so glad you got this. You wanted it so
You wanted
bad.
that one so bad, and you really put up a fight for it tonight. Look at Erin. She's being safe with it. She's being a safe person. Wonderful.
I'm going to put that in some plastic straight away.
Yeah, definitely. Put it in some plastic. And whatever you do, don't trip or something when you're walking around with it. Or I'm going to settle myself down now. Woo! Woo! Oh, God. Holy moly. Sammy, what have you done to me? I can't stop. I've got the Elvis leg. You're giving me that Elvis leg thing.
The skanky leg.
The skanky leg, you know? When it goes that high, I get the skankies on.
What the absolute fuck? $690 for a poster. For a fucking poster. $690. Look, I valued this at $100, and even I thought that was high. To sell for basically $700? What the fuck, man? Just a reminder, I got most of this shit for free. I went out for some Goosebumps books and walked away with an entire tub full of Goosebumps collectibles. This is mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. And really, from here, the next few auctions were a haze because Mum was texting me being like, oh, what just happened? I'm like, I don't know, a poster just sold for $690. What the fuck, insanity. So we're moving on with a bit of brain fog, and I had to go back and re-watch some of this to see the sale prices because I was just like, I don't believe it. We had a Velcro wallet go up, $47 it sold for. We have a 1996 and a 1997 Goosebumps calendar. It'll be handy in 2026, right? $112 they sold for. We had a Glow Zone glow-in-the-dark sticker kit that sold for $81. And then comes another fucking piece of paper. It was an order form, a simple little order form that, you know, dumb fucking Matt wrote off as worthless, completely worthless. Probably would have gone in the bin if I auctioned everything on eBay. It was from 1996, and it was a Pizza Hut order form for the Goosebumps PC game called Escape from Horrorland. Now look, I'm not a complete fucking idiot, right? I did basic research, and I knew that a lot of Goosebumps collectors, they own the actual PC game. But I didn't expect the auction to go like this. I didn't expect the level of interest from the fucking order form. Pre-bids have it already at $35. I'm going to play the clip. This is how the auction went for the Pizza Hut 1996 order form.
We were talking about the Pizza Hut. How about a Pizza Hut pre-order form for Escape from Horrorland CD-ROM game, and you get $5 off if you fill out this Pizza Hut order form for the CD-ROM game. And down here you've got the logos, as you should. Goosebumps, Pizza Hut. This is just absolutely beautiful. So you're pre-ordering, you're filling it out at Pizza Hut. It is how it is. We'll kick this one off for you guys. All right, who wants to pre-order the PC game at Pizza Hut in the 90s? 1996 to be exact. And Sammy's going to jump on that one. Sammy's going to grab that one. Can you grab my phone, darling? 35. Sammy, 39. Don't worry about it. All good, all good. Sam, $47, $51, a great little piece of Goosebumps history. You won't see it anywhere else. An absolute gem. We're at $71. I want to see this one framed. It deserves a frame. $81. $81, Sammy on top. Come on. Is anyone going to fight Sammy for it? Goosebumps is Sammy. It's Sammy. We're at 91. We might as well push it to 100. Let's just get it to 100. There we go. And we can buy a very, very nice frame for this one. Bjorn coming in hard. Bjorn, you're going to leave it, mate. We're at 121 with 4 seconds to go. She's going to look good on the wall. Hey, there, Sammy's back again at 141. Sammy's back in action. 141. 4 seconds to go. It's a back and forth slugfest. I'm loving it. 171. This is a true piece of Goosebumps memorabilia. This isn't just another book. This is something that needs to be framed, admired, and set on the wall. And that wall is going to belong to Sammy. Well done, Sammy. Another one for you. An absolute beautiful bit off.
$141. What the fuck? This is a piece of paper. It's not even a full A4. It's not even a full A4 piece of paper. And somebody is spending $141 for the order form. What is happening, man? What is happening? Ironically, the next item that went up was the actual PC game. And the PC game only sells for $43. So people have spent over triple, just on the order form than the actual computer game. What the fuck, man? This is crazy. Oh, man. Look, at this point, I'm like, whatever. Nothing is surprising me. You know, we have some items that don't even cross the $50 mark. You know, the next 5 items, they don't do that. And it doesn't surprise me, but then again, it should surprise, I don't know, because the Goosebumps auction's all over the place. The 5 items that didn't cross the $50 mark, they were like one-off books that you can buy on eBay for a couple of bucks. You know, there was like a R.L. Stine biography and a couple of like those Series 2000 Goosebumps books. Anyway, those 5 items, they sell for a combined $114. And then we move on to things like the t-shirt and the baseball cap. And you know what? Those two, they're auctioned off separately, but they add a combined $149 to the piggy bank. And that's pretty good considering the t-shirt was a kid's size 12. And we move on back to more paper, more cardboard, the things that I didn't value at all. And we had a Scare Club advertising flyer sell for $86. We had a 3D bookmark selling for $56. We had 2 of the Escape from Horrorland bookmarks selling for $25. You know, I'm not understanding any of this. I'm still in a fucking brain fog. Mum is texting me saying, you know, I don't understand any of this. And I'm texting back saying, I don't understand it either. And I'm telling my girl at the same time, like, oh yeah, the poster just sold $690. She's like, what the fuck? Anyway, we're getting towards the end of the auction, right? And just when I thought the energy in the room was slowly dying, up comes the show bag. Just an empty show bag, right? Showed plenty of signs, wear and tear. Graphic was starting to fade. I valued it at $10. And to be honest, if I was listing it myself on eBay, it probably would have gone straight in the bin, man. Nope. It ends at $78. And you know what? Goosebump collectors in the chat, they're spamming it with, you know, you got such a bargain. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? $78 for an empty show bag? They didn't even have the fun stuff in the show bag. I couldn't find any data on this fucking thing. Maybe it's just that rare. I have no idea. But anyway, we get to the last few items, and these are what I thought were going to be the heavy hitters, right? We have the electronic voice changing mask. I valued that at $200. We had the complete series, 1 to 62 of the books. I valued that at $500. And then we had the inflatable tombstone promo item, last sold for $350. So that's a combined $1,050 of value. Let's see how close we get. Oh, and at this point in time, obviously the auction has been running for a while. I think it's over 2 hours at this point. I hadn't been paying attention the entire time. You know, I'm on my phone, I'm on the computer, I'm making notes, all that sort of bullshit. So I have no idea how much we've made. So these last 3 items, I'm sort of counting on them to like bring us home, make us some money. So the voice changing mask comes up first. The pre-bids have it at $100, and then the bidding starts and we're off. We're like 105, 115, 125, 175. We have 4 seconds to go. Doesn't make it to 200. No, it doesn't. Bidding ends. And I'm like, close enough. You know, $175. I valued it at 200. That's a pretty good whatnot return, right? And then the books came up. These were the complete series 1 to 62. Whole bunch of first editions. And if you look on eBay right now, the cheapest you can get that is like $527. And I know whatnot is an eBay, so I'm just hoping for something close enough. So the bidding starts $225. That's what we're up to. And the bids do not start rolling in. It's quiet. You know, Mitchell has a chance to like share a few words, and I'm half seriously thinking of putting a bid in myself. You know, $225 for the complete series of Goosebumps is a fucking steal. You can get them, sell them on eBay for $500, double your money. Then we get a bid, $250. Then the original bidder comes back, $290. Mitch is saying, push it to $3. No, doesn't get to $3. It's sold. $290 for the full series of Goosebumps. So we're under. We're a lot under. I'm not panicking. But I was originally thinking that these books, this is the grand finale, right? They're going to make up a big chunk of the money. But there isn't time to overthink it because we're on to the last item. This is the inflatable tombstone. Now, I found a sold listing on eBay, just a single one that put it around the $350 mark. It's the last item in the auction, but the wallets are probably empty and people are tired. I'm tired. My wallet's always empty. It ends at $270. So I guess, again, close enough, right? So the auction ends. It's all done. I'm like, holy shit, phew. Insane 2.5 hours. It feels successful, but again, I haven't been paying full attention to it, so I have no idea what we land on. And Mum's been watching, like I said. She gives me a call. I ask her what she thinks the final tally will be. And I brought up, I was hoping for at least $1,500 in total sales, and maybe it hit $2,000. And Mum's like, $2,000, really? I'm not sure about that. She's bringing me back to reality a bit. Now, there's a full breakdown of my valuations and the realized price on flipweekly.com, but I'm going to tell you the total sales. But before I do that, I just want to give a massive thank you to the bidders. Massive thank you to Retro Rescuers, Aaron and Mitchell. They ran such a smooth auction. It was so much fun. It was exciting. And I was hooked, I'm trying to find more collections so I can send them through, have a fun night. But how do we look in terms of total sales? I get sent through the numbers. I wasn't, writing these numbers down. I should have been. Here's how we look. From the $100 investment, the Facebook Marketplace find that I was so lucky to come across, $100 I spent, we had total sales of $4,181. Over $4,000. What the fuck? Holy shit. We made over $4,000 from $100. What the fuck? Now, obviously, I didn't get all this money, right? There's fees, there's whatnot fees. Retro Rescuers take their commission, but I received the largest chunk, right? So either way, $100 into $4,181. Like, do I count this as the biggest flip thus far? The Sonic books were $60 into $1,600. That was just one sale. This was technically 70 sales. So you tell me, does this fucking count? I don't know. But it turns out that having a whole bunch of items that sell for between $30 and $50, it adds up really quickly. And look, the bigger stuff underperformed, but the obscure stuff, the random stuff, that stuff fucking overperformed. And that was thanks to the bidding wars. And you know what? It really does make sense. Like the complete set of books, it underperformed. And it's because these people that are buying this shit, they're diehard Goosebumps fans. They already have the fucking books. The books are like the entry into the Goosebumps collecting niche. But the posters, the order forms, and newspaper clippings, they're things they would have never seen before. They might have been from when you were a kid, memories and nostalgia. You might not ever see them again. That's why they overperformed and some of the bigger stuff underperformed. And heck, man, the winning bidder of the poster sent me through a message saying she had been looking for that exact one for 26 years. And that sounds like an embellishment, right? Like someone tells you, I've been doing this for 30 years, blah, blah, blah. She spent $690 fucking dollars on a poster. I 100% believe you, girl. Fucking hell, man. So yeah, full breakdown of all the items on the Flip Weekly newsletter. I'm not going to go through it with you now just because there's so much fucking data. Like, I'm still in shock seeing some of these prices, man. Like, I'm just looking at my original valuation of like 30 odd miscellaneous cardboard. This is what I wrote in the spreadsheet. Miscellaneous cardboard, bookmarks, postcards, newspapers, valuation $10. And then the realized price of all that, $645. Like, my valuations are just all wrong. I can't believe, to be honest, that we made more than what I would have sold it for on eBay. My experience with Whatnot, or at least my past opinion of Whatnot, has always been you go there if you want to get cheap shit, or if you want to flog off your stuff that isn't selling on eBay. The fact this sold for over $4,000, if I sold this on eBay, I would have made less money. Let's put it that way. So is Whatnot good for your collections? I mean, if you have a collection like this, it seems like a really, really good way to make quick, fast cash. But that's all I've got for you this week, man. Thanks again for listening. Thank you again for tuning into the podcast. We have so much more to come. Don't forget, we have the most insane flip of all time coming later on this year. I can't talk about it, but it eclipses this Goosebumps auction by far. We have a fresh podcast every Thursday. We have a fresh newsletter every Thursday. Flipweekly.com. Flip Weekly on all the socials. Thanks again. I'll see you next week. This is Matt signing off.
Flip, 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 Flip Weekly.